Okay, let's unpack this. Think for a second about the last time you bought something, anything really.
Yeah.
What truly factored into your decision? Was it, just the price?
Probably not just the price.
Right. Or maybe it was the quality, the brand, how easy it was to get, or even like how it made you feel. And then afterwards, did you feel like, yes, got a great deal? Or maybe that little twinge of buyer's remorse.
That whole process you just walk through in your head, the evaluating, the comparing, the feeling afterward. Yeah, that's basically the core of what businesses are thinking about, almost obsessing over when they talk about customer value.
Exactly. So this deep dive, it's all about that concept, customer value, what it really means, why businesses see it as, well, absolutely critical.
Yeah, crucial.
And most importantly, how they actively try to build more of it for you.
And we've been spending some time with some really insightful materials, specifically some excerpts from a document that digs into different ways, different approaches for creating customer value.
And our mission today really is to dive into these ideas, pull out the essential understanding, and give you a really clear picture of the strategies businesses are using, how they try and truly understand, satisfy, maybe even delight you by focusing intensely on the value they offer. Let's unpack this.
Okay. So at its heart, customer value is really your personal evaluation of a product or service.
Your take on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's how you weigh its worth against, the alternatives you considered and whether the whole experience felt like it was worth what you gave up for it, time, money, effort, whatever.
And what immediately jumped out from this material, for me anyway, is how it links customer value directly to that really common feeling of buyer's remorse.
Right. It makes perfect sense if you get that sinking feeling, that the total cost of something, and we'll get into what total cost means, ended up being more than the actual benefits you got from it.
You feel ripped off, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just disappointed. You're probably going to regret the purchase. And that feeling gets even stronger if you know a competitor was offering something similar, or maybe even better, for what felt like a lower cost or a higher benefit overall.
So understanding this sort of subjective calculation that you make inside your head, that's absolutely fundamental for businesses. It's not just about setting prices anymore.
No, definitely not.
It's about crafting the entire experience, the product, the service, everything, in a way that makes you consistently feel like you're getting more value than you perhaps even anticipated.
But here's where it gets, complex. And the material makes a really crucial point here. The cost to you isn't just the money you hand over.
Right. You as the customer, you're investing more than just the sticker price into a company and whatever it's offering.
Absolutely. They're the obvious ones, the tangible costs.
Yeah, like the actual purchase price, of course.
But also maybe installation fees or ongoing access, subscription fees.
Maintenance, if that's involved. Renewal costs down the line. Those are the straightforward financial bits.
Exactly. The ones you can see on a bill.
But then there's this whole other category, the intangible costs. And these, I think, can often be the ones that really tip the scales on that internal value calculation you're doing.
Totally agree. We're talking about the time you have to invest, right? Whether it's researching the product beforehand,
or just going through a really complicated buying process,
or learning how to use the darn thing afterwards. And a negative customer experience, dealing with rude staff or confusing websites, that's a significant intangible cost.
Oh, yeah. Any physical or emotional stress involved, like building frustrating furniture.
Yes. Or even the perceived cost of a bad brand reputation. Maybe you feel a bit iffy being associated with it. And like you said, just the time spent trying to figure something out when it's not intuitive, that's a cost.
So you've got all these different inputs on the cost side of the equation. Then, on the flip side, you receive benefits. And again, they're not just tangible, are they?
Nope. Tangible benefits are sort of what the product or service does for you, how it helps you solve a problem, achieve a goal.
Save time, maybe. Increase efficiency, its core function.
Right, its performance. What it says on the tin, basically.
And then there are the intangible benefits, and these can be really powerful drivers of value, sometimes more so than the tangible ones.
Definitely. Things like the social status or perception that comes with owning or using something, the cool factor.
Or just the reputation of the brand itself can make you feel good about your choice, like you picked a winner.
Exactly. Or a genuinely unique or pleasant customer experience throughout the whole journey. That feels good.
The quality and helpfulness of customer service when you need it. That's huge.
Immense. Even just the feeling of being associated with a business whose values you admire, or maybe one that provides a sense of community like an online group.
So the material presents this concept of customer value as essentially total customer benefits minus total customer costs. Simple, right? But what's critical, and they stress this immediately, is that you absolutely cannot treat this like a simple math equation you learned in school.
Precisely. Because you're trying to factor in all those tangible and intangible things we just talked about. How do you really put a number on the value of a positive brand image?
Or the stress saved by really good customer service.
Or that social advantage you feel you get. It's not like putting a price on installation. It requires businesses to somehow understand the perceived weight, the importance you place on these different factors relative to the price and other costs.
And that's where the next really crucial point comes in. Customer value isn't some universal constant. It's not the same for everyone.
Not at all.
What good value means is highly personal. It varies wildly from one person to the next.
Absolutely. Your specific needs, your goals, your past experiences, what you expect coming in, they all shape how you perceive value. What I think is an essential benefit or a major pain point might be completely different for you.
So for a business trying to deliver value effectively and, profitably,
Yeah, that's key too.
this subjectivity means they just can't treat everyone the same way. It won't work.
Yeah.
And this is why customer segmentation is presented as such a fundamental tool.
Makes sense. By grouping customers based on shared characteristics, maybe needs or behaviors, sometimes using concepts like buyer personas you hear about,
Right.
businesses can get a clearer picture, a better handle on what value genuinely means to that specific group. And that lets them tailor their offerings, their messaging, much more effectively.
And the business impact seems pretty significant. The material we looked at notes that something like 81% of executives agree that market segmentation is a key tool for actually increasing profits.
Yeah, it allows them to focus their value-building efforts where they'll actually resonate most strongly instead of just, scattering shots everywhere.
Okay, so we've established that customer value is complex, it's personal, involves this mix of tangible and intangible costs and benefits. Hard to pin down in a simple formula.
Right, it's slippery.
So here's where it gets really interesting. Given all that complexity, how do businesses actually go about increasing that perceived value for you? What are the practical strategies they use, according to this material?
Well, it seems like it all has to start with a deep effort to understand you, the customer.
Yes, understanding your pain points is highlighted as absolutely essential. And it's not just guessing, right?
No, they have to actively try to figure out what problems you're facing that they could potentially solve. The material suggests things like looking at related blogs, what topics get people talking, sharing, clicking.
Or doing social media research, listening to what people are saying about their experiences, asking for help.
Identifying their own product weaknesses, too, by really trying to think like you, the user, and of course, running surveys to try and uncover dissatisfaction or unmet needs, maybe features you'd find interesting.
It's about moving from assumptions to genuine insight into what you're actually struggling with or wanting.
Exactly. And evaluating the overall customer experience, the CX, that's another critical starting point they mention.
Mapping the journey.
Yeah, by mapping out your entire journey with the business, from the first time you hear about them to way after you've bought something, they can pinpoint those specific moments, those touch points.
Oh, they can add value.
Or, just as importantly, identify potential points of friction or conflict that destroy value. Remember those intangible costs like frustration. They want to root those out.
Okay, so beyond understanding you, they obviously have to focus intensely on the offering itself, the product or service.
And a key takeaway here seems to be that businesses are increasingly learning, maybe the hard way sometimes, that emphasizing quality is often more impactful in the long run than just focusing on having the lowest possible price.
That makes sense. While a rock-bottom price might grab your attention initially,
Yeah, the shiny object effect.
customers often realize pretty quickly that poor quality can lead to higher costs later on. Repairs, replacements, just sheer frustration.
Right. The material actually gives the example of Ford back in the 1980s. They apparently made a big strategic shift to really focus on quality.
Quality is Job 1. Wasn't that the slogan?
Something like that. And the result, they saw a remarkable 27% sales increase the very next year. So a clear return on investing in that quality side of the value equation.
And tied into the offering is having a clear, unique selling proposition, or USP. Heard that term a lot.
Yeah, it's fundamental. This is really about articulating that distinct value proposition, the thing that sets a business apart from the crowd.
What makes them special?
Exactly. The material describes a good USP as being simple, direct, clearly stating the customer's benefits, what's in it for you, and explaining how it's different or better than what competitors offer. It's the core promise.
The specific value you'll get that you supposedly can't get elsewhere.
Right. Then there's the whole crucial aspect of engaging and supporting you, not just at the point of sale, but throughout your relationship with the business.
Education comes up as huge here.
Yeah, definitely. If you buy something, maybe something complex, but you don't know how to use it effectively.
You're not getting the benefit, right? You're not getting the value.
Exactly. So businesses invest in things like content, tutorials, training sessions, whatever it takes to make sure you can actually extract the value they promised. Plus, that helps build a positive perception of the brand, makes them seem helpful.
And happy, educated customers, they become powerful advocates, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Leveraging word of mouth, or WOM, is presented as vital. The material highlights that customers you get through WOM tend to spend significantly more, sometimes up to twice as much as average.
Wow.
And apparently 84% of B2B purchase decisions are influenced by WOM. So businesses that genuinely deliver value get this incredibly powerful free marketing in return.
Which brings us to customer support. This is described as perhaps the most important way to build loyalty.
It really seems that way. When something goes wrong, or maybe you just need help understanding something.
How you're treated in that moment.
Yes. That fundamentally impacts your perception of the company's value and your willingness to stick with them. Feeling truly supported and, well, valued when you reach out for help seems absolutely key.
Makes sense. And building online communities is another strategy mentioned, often using social media platforms.
Right. These can become spaces where customers help each other, share ideas, feel connected to the brand and other users. It adds another layer of that intangible value.
And it can also attract potential new customers who see this active, helpful community, right?
Good point. It shows the company cares and has engaged users. Now, all these strategies, they need to be informed and supported by data and, smart strategy.
Can't just guess.
No. Collecting customer data, both the hard numbers, the quantitative stuff like purchase history.
And the stories, the feedback, the qualitative stuff.
Exactly. Both are necessary to understand how value is actually being perceived by real customers and to support strategic decisions about where to invest, where to improve.
And researching competitor strategy comes up too. Not just to copy them, I assume.
No, it's more about identifying where their value proposition might be weak or where their customer experience falls short.
Finding the gaps.
Precisely. It creates opportunities to gain an advantage by delivering better, more targeted value in those specific areas.
And targeting and nurturing loyal customers is highlighted as particularly important. Makes intuitive sense.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty stark. The material points out that these customers are incredibly profitable, apparently accounting for something like 61% of revenue.
Wow, the majority.
And selling to them is far more cost-effective than constantly trying to acquire new ones. Something like 82% of businesses agree on that.
So loyalty programs.
Exactly. They're mentioned as a direct way businesses try to add extra value specifically for these key customers, often going beyond standard expectations to keep them happy.
Plus, loyal customers provide those invaluable positive reviews, right? Which influences new buyers. Seems like 93% of consumers look at reviews before buying.
That number's huge. Social proof matters. And sometimes, it's the little things, the unexpected extras that make a big difference in perceived value.
Like what?
Well, surprising customers with unexpected offers or privileges. Think personalized discounts, or maybe special access, or even just a thoughtful gift voucher on their birthday.
Okay. Things that make you feel special.
Exactly. It can create a strong, positive emotional response. It makes you feel seen and valued as an individual, not just a transaction. That adds perceived value beyond the core product and definitely encourages repeat business.
Ultimately, then, all these efforts, all these strategies to build customer value, they contribute to bigger picture impacts for the business itself.
For sure. It strengthens their brand image. How you perceive and feel about a brand isn't just some fuzzy marketing concept.
No, it has real consequences.
It directly impacts your purchase decisions. It builds trust over time. It drives profitability and increases customer retention, keeping people coming back.
And interestingly, the material even connects creating customer value to improving employee retention. How does that work?
Well, the idea is when a business is successful because they're effectively delivering value to customers.
Sales go up, revenue increases.
Right. The business becomes more stable, more profitable. And that, in turn, allows them to offer better incentives, better salaries, maybe a more positive work environment for their employees.
Ah, so happy customers lead to a healthier business, which can lead to happier employees. It's like a virtuous cycle.
Exactly. Creates a positive feedback loop.
Now, the material kind of ties all this together near the end by noting that successfully creating this customer value consistently throughout your entire journey with a company, it often requires some pretty sophisticated technology tools these days.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Doing this at scale is hard.
Specifically, CRM systems, customer relationship management systems, are mentioned as pretty essential.
Right. They help businesses connect all the different pieces of information they have about you, stuff from marketing, from sales interactions, from customer service calls.
Puts it all in one place.
Basically, yeah, into a unified view. And that allows companies, whether they're large or small, to better understand you, deliver that value more consistently, tailor things, and ultimately grow by keeping that focus on value.
So, okay, we've taken quite a deep dive here into customer value. We've explored how it's much more than just the price tag,
Definitely.
involving that complex interplay of tangible and intangible costs and benefits. We've also looked at the many, many deliberate strategies businesses employ.
From really digging into your pain points to leveraging sophisticated tech.
All aimed at increasing that perceived value for you, the customer.
And understanding customer value, it seems, isn't just academic or nice to have. It's presented as absolutely central to a business's ability to actually grow and thrive, especially in a crowded, competitive landscape.
Yeah, it feels fundamental. Hopefully this deep dive gives you, listening, a bit of a fresh perspective on the strategic thinking behind why businesses do what they do.
And how your own subjective evaluation of value, what you think something is worth, is truly at the heart of their efforts, or at least it should be.
So think back to that kind of rough formula, customer value being your total benefits minus your total costs, both the obvious ones and the hidden ones. Here's something to chew on. What hidden costs, or maybe unexpected benefits, have you encountered recently that significantly shifted your perception of value for a product or service, maybe for better or maybe for worse?